Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. Please give us 5 minutes. Let's allow 5 minutes for some persons to join. And then we're gonna start actually 4 minutes. We'll start in 4 minutes time. Okay, time's up. Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon for those in Nigeria. I want to welcome you all to today's seminar. If you can hear me, can I see a reaction or something? So I know you can hear me very well. Okay, thank you. So, welcome to today's PCDF seminar. My name is Judith, and I will be anchoring today's session, be moderating today's session rather. So, I want to welcome you all who have made it to today's seminar, and I trust that it's going to be a very rewarding session. So, at the PCDF, if you're just hearing about this group for the first time, It's short form for Professor Cosmas Daughters Forum. And our mission here is just to create a safe, informed, and an empowering space where women can make confident and well-informed decisions about their lives. So things that have to do with career, finance, or migration, like we have today, and different aspects of life, basically. Of course, we have men also who are welcome to join us, but that's primarily our mission. And today's session is part of our ongoing PCDF seminar series, where we host practical experience-driven conversations led by, women who have successfully navigated those paths before. Now, if you've missed any of our past seminars, I just want to share that in the past we've had seminars um, covering permanent residency in the US. We've had seminars about mental health, permanent residency in Australia, in UK, finance, budgeting, and we still have one more seminar scheduled for February. And we have a YouTube channel if you want to catch up on all these seminars, because these have been very, very insightful seminars that can actually help guide, your future. I'll be dropping a link later on in the chats so that we can um, bookmark that and try to check on those videos later on. So this can actually help, we try to record these seminars so that you can always go back to them and um, get the information that you missed in the live session. So today we have two very wonderful ladies with us who will be taking us through a step-by-step guide to permanent residence in Canada. But before we start, I would like to enjoin everyone to please mute themselves while they're speaking. So the only persons who will have their microphones turned on will be the speakers and sometimes myself. So to allow a very smooth seminar, please turn your microphones off. You can also turn off your cameras so that those with struggling with data issues will be able to join this seminar very smoothly. Our speakers might leave their camera turned on so we can put a face to the speakers. So today, in today's seminar, we would be basically talking to these two ladies and listening to them talk about how to navigate this Canada PR pathway, the eligibility requirements, the application processes and documentation, mistakes to avoid. And we can also have a session where we have, a Q&A with them. So prior to this seminar, we already sent out a link with questions for people to fill in their questions that they want answered in this seminar. And they have prepared for us today based on those questions and some other information. So if you have some questions you would like to be addressed, please, I would refer you to the link. Fill out your questions, because by the end of the session, we would have a Q&A session where I would be reading out the questions for them to answer, those that have not been addressed. So please, I would also drop the link in the chats later on. So you can try to fill out any questions you have, and so that you can answer them later on by the end of the seminar. So today, it's my pleasure to introduce the speakers. First of all, we have Phil Ekene. Phil is an industrial microbiologist with a very strong healthcare background, currently based in Canada. She has several years of experience in the healthcare system, delivering compassionate patient care. She has worked with an NGO, collaborating with Ebony State governments, and alongside her healthcare career, she's also a real estate agent, a real estate consultant, and she supports individuals and families in making very informed property decisions. She obtained the Canada PR successfully through the healthcare Provincial Nominee program, and today she brings practical insights on how to navigate this pathway while balancing multiple professional roles. So I want us to welcome Phil to today's session. Our second speaker is going to be Cynthia Osewemen. Cynthia is a data operations and projects focused professional based in Canada, and she has over 10 years experience in the banking sector. She holds an MBA in human resource and has previously worked in banking operations and customer experience at Keystone Bank and Taj Bank. So she's also successfully obtained Canada permanent residency, leveraging the French language express entry pathway. So she started learning French from beginner to beginner level, basically. And she now works across operations, project management, and data analysis and workflow automations. So today, she and Phil would be guiding us through the Canada Path's permanent residence journey from complementary perspectives. They'll be sharing practical steps, lessons learned, and even key considerations. So I want you also all to help me welcome Cynthia and to today's session. So, like I mentioned earlier on, please mute yourselves while this session is going on to avoid distractions, and let's get ready to learn. So, Phil and Cynthia, please welcome. The floor is yours. Let me know when you want me to share my screen.
Okay, I think you can share your screen now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, can you see me?
We
No, we
can.
can't see you, Phil.
But we can hear you,
Can hear
Phil.
you.
Okay, okay. Okay, let me. Okay. Is it showing now?
No, but we can hear you. Maybe you can just
Yeah, you can continue.
go
I'm going
ahead.
to share
Okay.
your slides in a bit. Okay.
Can you see me now? I think there is issue on my end with the video.
Okay.
You just give me a minute. Okay, good day all. And thank you all for joining us once again.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're good to go. Let me know how you want me to navigate the slides, and I'm here at your service. Thank you.
Okay. Just can you give me like 5 minutes? I don't know why the video is not showing because I think
You
it
can
will be better you're seeing my face. I don't know why there's a glitch on my system.
you can go ahead without the video. I think it's fine.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So it's nice to have all of us today. So as our facilitator said, we'll be breaking down the PR process step by step, and then we'll also share our life experiences that gave us our permanent resident PR in Canada. So today we're going to talk about the step-by-step processes of attaining the Canadian PR. So what is this PR we're talking about? What is the Canadian permanent residence? It is a legal status allowing foreign professionals to live, study, and work in Canada indefinitely. That is, they have a right to remain in Canada for as long as they want. They enjoy most rights of citizens, which include the healthcare and the legal protection that comes from the government. So there are a lot of benefits that these permanent residents get to enjoy from the Canadian government, but they don't have voting rights. But this permanent residence is a sure pathway to citizenship after you must have gotten your residency card, and then there are certain criteria of staying in Canada for a period of some days. So after staying for 2 to 3 years, 3 years basically, you can now put in an application for your citizenship after adhering to certain guidelines. So PR is basically not a visa, it's not a travel, it's not a study permit, it's not a visiting visa that gives you a temporary stay. So you're here to stay. So when you're thinking of PR, you're thinking of it as a long-term goal that gives you a legal settlement status in Canada. So Cynthia, our next facilitator, will move us to the next phase.
Okay, please, Judith, can you take it to slide 5? Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are. So I'll be briefly talking about the overview of the Canada PR pathways. The Canada permanent residency pathway is, I'll first of all talk about a point-based system. It's, in summary, it's a comprehensive ranking system that scores students basically, candidates basically out of 1,200 points for the express entry. So it's, in summary, just awards points for age, for education, for your language, either English or French, and your work experience. It could be your foreign work experience or your Canadian work experience, plus extra factors for extra points for factors like provincial nominations, or you have a sibling in Canada. These help to rank your profiles for permanent residency invitations. So there are several ways to become a permanent resident, but most of them fall into a few broad categories. The major Canada PR pathways that we have are the Express Entry Program, which is popularly known as the federal programs. Under this Express Entry Program, we have three sub pathways. That's the Federal Skilled Worker Program, FSW, which is for skilled workers with foreign work experience. We have the Federal Skilled Trades, which is FST. It's for the skilled trades professionals. Then we also have the Canadian Experience Class. It's popularly called CEC. These are for candidates that have Canadian work experience, and it's usually common for international graduates. When I say international graduates, I mean people who have come to Canada and schooled in Canada, right? So it usually favors them more. The second major Canada PR pathway is the provincial nominee programs. Provinces like Ontario, Alberta, Manitoba, and the likes, they nominate candidates based on local labor needs. And these needs change as the days go by, as the years go by. And it could include streams for in-demand occupations, healthcare workers, international graduates. And nomination adds like extra 600 points to whatever it is you already have in the express entry, as in your CRS in the express entry pool or profile. The third pathway we have is the regional and pilot programs. That's the Atlantic Immigration Program, where it's specifically for the Atlantic provinces, the New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, the Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland. The second sub-pathway under this regional and pilot program, we have the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program. It's popularly called the RNIP or the RCIP. These are for smaller rural communities. Then the third one is the Francophone immigration, specifically for those who are in Quebec. That's a special program on its own. The fourth one, we have family sponsorship, where you have Canadian citizens or PRs that sponsor their families, could be their spouses or partners, their children, even their parents and grandparents. There are special visas that are under the PR program for them. Other key pathways that we have are the startup visas for entrepreneurs. If you are a business person, like a self-employed person, there is also a pathway for you. The caregiver programs, there are some programs for the Hong Kong, special streams for Hong Kong residents. Then we have the popular student route, right? It's where you come to study in Canada, you get a postgraduate work permit, and then you acquire the Canadian work experience, and you transition through the express entry, that's the CEC or the PMP, as the case may be. Now, slide 7, please. Next slide. So, for eligibility assessment, everything for the Canada Permanent Residency Program starts with eligibility. Before applying, Canada looks at a few core factors: your age, your education, your work experience, and your language ability. This step is critical because if you're not eligible, there's nothing you do that will actually work. Here, you have to take into cognizance these 4 factors. And many people, they make mistakes, by skipping either the age or the proper education. They don't capture their education properly, or the work experience, and maybe the language abilities. They don't like maximize the points that can be gotten from language tests and the rest. So many people just make these mistakes, and it's important that we put all these into check when trying to access your eligibility for the Express Entry program. There's what we call the 67 points calculator. As you can see on the slide, it's just a screenshot. If you have your phones, you can quickly browse, check on Google, the 67 points calculator for the Canada Express Entry program. This is basically it's like a point for the federal skill worker program, where your eligibility points are calculated out of 100 based on key factors like the age. For the age, the maximum points you get is 12. For the education, the maximum you get is 25. For the language proficiency, the maximum you get is 28. The work experience, the maximum you get is 15. And for arranged employment, the maximum is 10. And the arranged employment, it means like if you have an employer who has agreed to, you have a job offer, right? And and the employer has agreed to like sponsor you, or will I say employ you. So it gives you points. So we have maximum of 10 points for that. And adaptability, which has to do with if you have siblings, relations, or your spouse or partner has siblings, direct siblings or relatives here in Canada, the maximum points for that, and so which sums up to 100. And so if you check all these and you are able to get above 60, from 67 and above, it means that you're eligible. Then you can go further to create a profile on the Express Entry portal, and you are now ranked with the CRS, the comprehensive ranking system, where you now see where you are ranked, in the pool, and it's out of 1,000. Remember, I said the 67 points is 100, but the CRS is 1,000. So you need at least 67 points to qualify for the Express Entry, which is distinct from your CRS within the pool. The points are awarded based on your performance in each factor, such as higher education degrees, your strong IELTS, or that's your strong English or French scores, with higher scores in a factor leading to more points. So the higher you go, the higher your chances of, being eligible to go into the pool. So Phil, can you take over?
Hello. So we'll talk about, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear
So
you.
we'll talk about the Education Credential Assessment, which is popularly known as ECA. So what is ECA all about? So before applying for the Canadian PR, you need to do educational verification to make sure that to actually ascertain your educational level, to know the Canadian equivalent in their education system. So if you have a certificate in Nigeria, for instance, you have to check the equivalent of that certificate in Canada. For instance, if you have a master's degree or PhD, you have to, first of all, you assess your highest qualification. So if you have a BSc, MSc, and PhD, the one that you will verify with the educational body is the highest, which is your PhD. So there are several educational bodies like WES, you have the MCC, you also have for the pharmaceutical people and the nurses. So you verify your certificate with those bodies to ascertain your Canadian equivalent. Then the West is cost about 240 Canadian dollars. This is aside the amount for delivery, which includes your also your transcripts. Then after you must have verified your West, or you are sure that your West is almost at the point of completion, you can start preparing for your IELTS or even before then. So the West, the verification of certificate should come before your language testing. This is because the certification verification has a long validity. Most of them have about 5 years validity, while the language testing has 2 years validity. So after you must have completed your verification of certificate, you go in for your language test. The language test can be the IELTS, CELPIP, which is for the English language, while the TEF and TCF is for the French category. Then why preparing for your IELTS? You have to be very strategic because every point matters in this PR journey. So you have to aim to get a high score in your IELTS or any language test you're taking because the score across the reading, the writing, the speaking, and the listening. The score goes a long way to determine your CRS points, which is actually what will give you an edge in the Express Entry pool. So you aim to get like an 8 in listening, then you can get a 7 across. It's not that you cannot get more. The more scores you get across the bands, the better for you. So listening is actually very important in the language tests. So we have the price overview of our language tests. Then the next slide, after you must have completed your language testing, then you have your ECA. You must have verified your certification. The next thing is to create an Express Entry profile. So at this stage, you are placed in the pool of candidates that are ranked using the comprehensive ranking system. Because after you must have gotten all these requirements, you put it into the system, then it gives you your score, your CRS score. So now you don't apply for permanent residence here. You wait for an invitation to apply from the IRCC, which is called the ITA. And once you have a good point, a good score, you are in a better standing to get an invitation to apply for the permanent residence. Cynthia?
Okay. So, after you've created your profile, right, and you're patiently waiting for an invitation to apply, this is where your strategy comes in, right? Canada doesn't just invite people randomly. There are targeted draws, like I mentioned earlier, for specific categories. Presently, I think we have for the French language proficiency, the healthcare professionals, the education occupation, the trade occupations, and there's a bit of STEM. I've not really heard the STEM occupation being called in a while, but it's still included in the program. We have the agricultural and agri-food occupations and the physicians with Canadian work experience. That the doctors that are already working in Canada. That's a separate healthcare focus category. Provinces can also nominate candidates through what we call the Provincial Nomination Program, which significantly boosts your chances. And these draws, IRCC conducts these draws currently to target candidates who meet Canada's economic and labor needs under these categories. So this is where strategy comes in. If you know that you fall into this category or you have some sort of experience in any of this category, even if it's just a year, you can apply, and you don't have to leave it out, even if it's not what you're currently doing at the moment, but you have that experience in any of these categories. This is where strategy comes in. You're not like going, like you have to go in with what you're currently doing. If you know that you at some points in during your work experience, you were a teacher, or you worked in the healthcare sector, you were a trade, you worked in the trade sector, you had some tech experience and the likes. This is the place where, yeah, this is where you have to, you know, um, be strategic and place yourself in the pool so that you stand, a higher chance of being called or being invited to apply. Although the process is the same, the pathway you take can be very different. Your occupation, like I said, your language skills, the location, all influence which routes works best for you. Location by location, I mean, if you're in Canada already and you're already working, you know that you have a higher chance because the experience you get here also increases your points, and that's why it's important to understand that your location too, matters and works out best for you. And this is the reason why we have decided to share our real life examples, because the pathway you take is different. Like I said, it's not a one size fits all. My own experience is different from Phil's experience or any other person who has come in through a different pathway, and it's not exactly the same it's not exactly the same strategy that we used, but it's basically the same, it's same process, but different paths with, right? So Phil will be sharing her experience of how she got in via the Ontario PNP healthcare program. So Phil, over to you.
Okay. So let's talk about the provincial nominee programs. So there are several programs under the provincial nominee. So we have the healthcare focused nomination. We have the employer and provincial alignment, the high demand occupation advantage. So this provincial nomination programs, it gives the candidates in the pool an opportunity to apply for permanent residence of Canada. So the provincial nomination program has some key areas that they focus on, and basically is their area of priority. Every province has the area of their needs. So the provinces basically look out for people that will contribute to their province, because that's actually what they want. They want to invite professionals that can be beneficial to the system. If it's area that they are lacking professionals in a certain area of employment, they look out for people that will, if they are short-staffed, they look out for people that will improve their economy. So they don't just go and select everybody. You must have something to offer, basically. So the PMP is under the PMP under the Human Capital Priority stream chooses professionals across the healthcare field, the engineering field, and some other areas that the province is interested in to select their candidates from. So the provincial bureau gives you 600 points, which automatically places you at an advantage that you must be selected to apply for permanent residency, because 600 points will give you you must actually have a chance to be taken into the system. So once there are several provinces that choose directly from the express entry pool. We have the Ontario province, the Alberta, and the Nova Scotia. So these provinces, they select people from the express entry pool. While there are provinces that you apply directly to, you don't necessarily need to have an express entry profile, but there are others that will say, okay, create an express entry profile, but we don't need your score in the pool to be selected. So these provinces are Saskatchewan, British Columbia. Although British Columbia requires a job offer from the province for you to apply to them, you also have the province of Manitoba. They don't need you to be in the pool. So this gives you a better chance. Like for Saskatchewan, for example, you apply directly to them. And I know that their program is the SIMP, which is a Saskatchewan Immigration Nomination Program. Then it was they caught 60 points, 60 out of 100. So once you check your eligibility on the SIMP website, if you get up to 60 points and apply to them, I actually got an invitation from Saskatchewan, but that was after I had already gone ahead with the province of Ontario. And keep it in mind that is one province that you accept. You don't accept two provinces that give you offer for nomination. So that was why I did not go ahead with the province of Saskatchewan, because I've already accepted nomination from Ontario. So what I required from you for Ontario Immigration Nomination Program or the Provincial Nomination Program in general, you need a passport photograph, your passports, for example, your Nigerian passport. You need to do your educational certificate verification, which is the WES, for example, or MCC, as the case may be. Then you also authorize these educational bodies that assess your certificate to share your results with the province you are applying to. Then definitely you need a language test result, work history documents. So the work history document that you need for provincial nomination is your employment or work experience reference letter, your pay slip. If you don't have a pay slip, you use the bank statement for the first and the last working period. Let me explain this pay slip for the first and the last month of each work experience. For instance, if you started work in, let's say, 2022 in an organization, and you are applying in 2026, you need to submit your pay evidence for the first month you started work, the first time you were paid in that establishment, which was 2022, for instance. So you submit just one evidence of payment the first time you were paid in that organization, and the last one, the most current one. If I'm applying this January, I will submit the one of December that I was paid last, because I've not gotten a payment for January. So I will submit the payment for the month of December and the first time I got a paycheck from that organization, which is 2022. Then, if you are self-employed, because it's not only employees that are also invited to apply via the provincial draws. If you're self-employed, you provide your business registration documents, income tax return, reference letter from your clients. If you say you are selling Gary, for example, you have to provide an evidence of your customer saying that this customer have sold Gary to me. So that's what I mean by reference letter from your client. You just tell them to put down something to show that you're actually selling this product as an entrepreneur. So invoices, like those receipts that you give to your clients, if you don't have one, you can always create one in your company name and then make a receipt for your clients. Then online presence is very important. As an entrepreneur, you also submit your web posting, things you post online to advertise your business, to show that you are actually an entrepreneur. You're actually running a business. So after you must have gotten these requirements, you also have to provide your proof of fund. Proof of fund has to be in your account, or if you're married, it can also be in the account of your spouse. Your spouse can be, if you're a man, your wife, woman, your husband. So your spouse just has to write a letter of access authorizing you to use the money at any time. Your spouse has to say, you have access to this money. You have 100% access to my money. The money in his or her account is yours. So even if you don't have a proof of fund in your account, you can use your spouse account to present as your proof of fund, because it's actually acceptable. So the next requirement for provincial draw is your resume. You have to have a resume stating your qualifications, where you have worked, your job description, and all that. Then if you have family members, you submit the passports of all your family members. So the cost requirement of this is about 1,500 Canadian dollars to apply for provincial draws. Yes. Once they send you an invite, you pay your application fees after you must have gathered your documents to apply. Then just note that almost all the documents required for this process is the same with that of the federal level, the IRCC, the main PR permanent resident application. So once you have the document, for your provincial nomination, you're automatically ready to apply for permanent residence to Canada because almost all the documents are the same. So once you get your ITA, which is the invitation to apply, you can even apply just that same day. And note that once you are being nominated, it takes 2 weeks for the federal government to give you an invite to apply for permanent residence. It does not take time after you get your provincial nomination to have an invite to apply for permanent residence. So after submission, you wait for your invitation. So we'll talk about the French language pathway to Canadian permanent residency.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Before I go ahead with my French language pathway, it's important to let us know that creation of your profile on the IRCC portal is completely free. Note that we did not mention any amount. You're not meant to pay any fee. So just so we know, creating your profile, as long as you have your language test results and your ECA, your educational credential assessment reports, and your work experience, of course, you can create a profile. It's completely free. So yeah, for the PR via the French language pathway, I didn't exactly choose French randomly. In fact, when I started the French journey, I did not know that I would even need French, because some of you who must have followed my story would know that I actually started sometime in 2018 and I kind of gave it a pause. And the process is in 2018 and 2023 when I started. At the time I thought, oh yes, they were the same thing, because I wasn't really following the news for that 5 years break. But when I started, just I just woke up one day and said I want to write the IELTS. I went, wrote the IELTS, came back, created my profile. And then I saw that my score was like 400 and something. And I was like, what's going on? I had to go, that was even when it occurred to me to check what's even going on the news and the rest. And I discovered that, the general draws at the time in 2022, towards the end of 2022, was about 500. So I thought, okay, like 400 and something, I need like extra 8 something points. I already have my master's. I can't start doing a PhD because I had to check everything. Even the language test I wrote, I did not exactly get the 8777. I mean, I didn't exactly max, like, right? When you're taking your English test, we are advised most times to ensure that you get your listening should be like the highest. The listening is like the maximum. If your listening is very poor, you stand, I mean, like not like you don't stand any chance, but you're losing a whole lot. So you're expected to like max out and ensure that even if you're not maxing, your listening should be high. So I was aiming at maxing, but I couldn't. So I just went 8777, right? And even when I wrote my English test, I did not exactly get the 8777. I got 6.5 in my writing, and I had to apply for a remark. And when the result came out, when I wrote the IELTS, I had 300 and will I say 80 something or 90 something. But the minute I put in my extra 0.5 points from that writing, from 6.5 to 7, it just shot up to 400 and something. So that's why it's important to understand that some of these points that we probably just leave lying around, so to speak, are very important. You have to be strategic. You have to ensure you maximize all points that are even within your own control. You don't just leave 1 point, 2 points. You might think, oh, this 0.5 from this result might not mean anything. But I tell you, when I put it in, I was shocked. And then I had to go further to research, and I discovered that, okay, even if I say, let me write the English test again, I still will not be able to meet 500 points. And that was when I went deeper and started researching what are the current draws, what's the trend. And I realized that the general draws had slowed down, and it was now Canada has shifted to the category-based and targeted immigration. So for my French experience, of course, I wasn't a native French speaker. The French I knew was my secondary school, my junior secondary school French. In fact, it was just the regular bonjour, the days of the week, what we know basically that haunted us, many of us, right? Although I had the flair for the language then, but it's not even enough. It's not enough to say you're good in the language, because I started from the beginner level. I started completely from ground zero, and I wasn't perfect. I focused on consistency. When I started, I reached out to tutors. I joined groups. I joined a lot of groups on Telegram. When you go to Telegram, you see all these Canada PR groups. When you join, you just ask them that where are the French. If you want to do the French, just ask for the French groups. They are readily available. And then I joined the Telegram groups and started making inquiries. You know, of course, that first few months, I made my own mistakes trying to get a tutor, trying to get a French school. And because of the location where I was, there was no physical French school at the time. I had to do everything online. And I got a tutor who took me from beginners level for like A1, A2, which is about 2 to 4 months, depending on your speed and, but they tell you 2 to 4 months. And when I worked with the tutor for a while, I wasn't really getting, he taught me to that level, but it was really expensive at the time. I couldn't meet up. So I had to stop and decided to go on a self-study pathway. I went and bought some resources, some what do you call it? Pre-recorded sessions, bought the courses, took the courses back to back, on my own. And this is where discipline comes in. You know that nobody's monitoring you. There's no tutor guiding you. You are your own motivator. You are your own tutor. You are the one who would like tell yourself, you have not done this today. You have to finish this today. You just have to be the one to motivate yourself. And then that's how I continued. I got a tutor after the self-study for like 3 months. I got another tutor. Tutor took me for like a month. I wasn't really getting what I wanted. They were not working at my pace because I had told myself that 1 year is what I wanted. Like I didn't want to do more than 1 year. And that's because I had gone to YouTube and I watched a lot of foreign um PRs who had, gotten to Canada. When I say foreign, I mean non-Nigerians, right? They were basically talking about their pathways. Some of them did in 1 year, some 8 months, some 2 years, and the likes. But the one that seemed more reasonable to me was the 1 year pathway. After watching these YouTube channels, I went online again and started researching like what's the reasonable pathway? How long am I supposed to take? How long can I achieve the beginners level, the intermediate level? I just had to do this research so that I can be sure of where I stand, and I stood at the time. So, and that was what I did. I got a tutor like after a few months of self-study. I didn't get what exactly I wanted. I went to another tutor. I was just moving tutors at a particular point till I eventually got a particular tutor who took me from my lower intermediate level, which is the B1 level, up until I wrote the exam. So, I focused on consistency. Actually, like to be honest, I wasn't doing French from morning to night. I had a 9 to 5. I had a family. I had other things I was doing on the side, but I ensured that I was consistent. I did not miss a day did not go by without me interacting in French or taking in French. I listened to podcasts. I changed my phone keypad to French. My dictionary was in French. My Bible was in French. My daily devotional was in was in French. And when I drive to work, I play French musicals, French gospels. Everything was French. I haunted everybody literally in my household in French. And I'm glad it paid off because at some point, it looked like I wasn't making it looked like I was not doing anything. But gradually when you're consistent in doing something, you might think it has no effect until one day and you just realize that you're understanding what somebody's saying. Maybe the only problem is that you can't speak, right? Or you can't exactly put everything to words, but you've gotten to a certain level of proficiency, so to speak, and you're not where you were before you started. So a little bit of consistency. I listened I even went to YouTube to subscribe to some channels where they talk about politics, education, geography, a lot of, topics, random topics. I listened so that I could get some vocabularies, and every new vocabulary I learned, I had a book for vocabulary. I had to note them down. Every new word I learned, I noted them down. I pasted a lot of post-its in my house. Like I just passed, I'll see the days of the week, I'll see the verb conjugations. It was just all over, right? I tried to immerse myself. Why did I do this? Because there was no physical school in my location. And naturally, I would advise any beginner, anyone who doesn't even know French at all, to start from a school. Why do I say so? The school is like a French environment. It's like you're coming into a country where they speak French. That's the way the French schools, most French schools are. And they start the interaction from the class. Like you just realize that the immersion starts from the school. But when you are not in the school, I'm not saying it's difficult, right? Especially if if you understand your study pattern, the way you study. I'm not saying it's difficult if you hire a tutor, but I would always advise that if you have access to a French school, be it online or physical, let you start with a beginner. Let's start as a beginner in a French school. It helps with the immersion, like it helps with immersing you in the environment and giving you that French experience, and gives you that boost to start. But if you're not able to get a French school, you can also get a tutor. You can start with YouTube. There are a lot of YouTube series where free resources where you can start the basics. That was how I started. I started when I was doing the research for French. I started with YouTube. I'll go and watch a particular playlist for beginners, A1 playlist, A2 playlist, and that was how I built myself before I eventually got a tutor. So French, of course, opened doors for me because I was not in the health category. I was not in the education. I was not in any of the categories. I was working in the bank, and it's not like they had a draw for bankers. It was just French that seemed realistic for me, and I had to go in. I tried to balance the whole thing with my work and life, and of course, it's opened doors to the targeted draws, even though my initial plan was to be able to get the general draws because at the time it was 500, like I said earlier. And as I was studying French, the general draw stopped and it became a category-based draw. So at the end of the day, it still paid off for me because even as the whole thing shifted to the category-based draws, I was able to get in through French. So it reduced competition for me and it made a real difference in my journey because after the French result came out, from 400 and something, I just went to a whooping 511. And when I got the draw, the French score was about 420 or 412. So you can imagine the difference. That's why a lot of people, you know, you are advised if you know that you stand no chance. If you can do French, by all means, please do. If you're above 40, you still have a good chance of being called via the French draw because the French draws are really like the scores are quite low compared to the other um draws. And I'm sharing this journey because in my time when I was studying, I went on to YouTube to see other Nigerians that actually went via this pathway, share their experience. I couldn't really see much, like one or two persons that are actually Nigerians. So I made a mental note at that point that, oh, see, this YouTube helped me. The social media really helped me. I will also try to document my journey because this journey is more than immigration. It's about your purpose, your growth, and also service. Because I got these things from people from other resources. It's also good that I share my own journey, encourage people, and I documented this on my YouTube channel to continue these conversations beyond webinars and stuff like this. So I'll be handing over to Phil, who talks about the processes that after your invitation to apply, what you do afterwards. Thank you.
Right. Nice one from you, Cynthia. So after our invitation to apply, you should know that this period moves so fast. You have 60 days to submit your application. So this includes the sourcing of the documents needed, the uploading of the documents, completing the forms, police clearance, very important. Police clearance is needed for this process. The validity is for 3 months. So we go to every unit in the state across Nigeria has the police department that handles this police clearance. So you ensure that everything goes well. Make sure this particular stage is very, very important. Very, very important. You have to be very careful. Go through your documentation to make sure that everything is in order. Like everything is in order. Because any mistake here can lead to delays, them asking the IRCC asking you for additional requirements, or it can even lead to automatic rejection or refusal of your application. So there are some fees involved in this process. We have your PR application fee, which you can see. This application fee, it includes the right of a permanent residency fee. I advise when you're applying for PR, just if you can afford it, as you're paying for the application fee, you just pay for the right of permanent residency. You pay for it at once because if there is delay in the right of the permanent residency fee, if there is non-payment of the fee, it leads to the delay of your application. So the proof of fund required, you have that for the single applicants, and then for a family of four, you can see that is $28, 362 Canadian dollars. Single applicant is $15,000, 15,263 Canadian dollars. Then if you have a family of more than four, then you add for each of the family members. So you see that these amounts for permanent residency are updated. So always be on the know of what the current amount is at a particular point in time. It's always important to note the amount that is required for your fees because you need to be informed. This as well is very important with the proof of fund. If one submits a proof of fund that is lower than the amount required for permanent residency application, it can lead to a rejection or refusal of that application. This is because some visa officers, they will not ask you, please submit an updated bank account statement, but some can be very lenient and kind to say, okay, please, we need an updated bank statement. You have insufficient funds to meet this criteria. Please, can you update your bank account statement? So in cases like that, the person has a good opportunity to rectify the mistake that was done. So always check the IRCC portal for updates. This process is a process that you need to be informed. You can't afford to say you do not know about this. So always be in the know of what is happening. Always be in the know. Note that proof of fund is not money you pay to IRCC. It's money you show in your account. It's money that will be in your account. It's yours. Nobody is asking you to give them. It's money that will help you. And this money is very important because when you arrive Canada, you need some days. Basically, it's a new environment. You can't expect everything to like, you are just new. So basically, you need few funds for you to be sustained. You, especially if you have a family, you need little money for you to run your day-to-day activity before you can find your feet. But then again, I will admit that there are very good support systems in Canada. Very good support systems. There is no way that you arrive in Canada that you will not receive support, welfare and otherwise. And coming in as a permanent resident, of Canada, you have an edge because there are so many benefits that are open to you. But you actually need some funds to sustain to at least keep you going for a while, even though there are some amenities that are very readily available as a permanent resident of Canada. So, receiving ITA application, then landing. After you must have gathered your documents and you must have gone through it, our advice when you are doing this process, take a note. Be noting down what and what you need. First of all, write down your requirements. All the requirements you need or you think you need. As you are getting those requirements, be checking them, be checking them, be ticking the ones you've gotten. So once you have a list, you have something you are referring to. You have your list, so it helps you, it keeps you in check, it keeps you guided. Oh, I've not gotten this. This one is remaining. Let me go for it. I need to get this. You tick it off once you've gotten it. So once you have gone through your list, see that I have all the documents now. It gives you a certain amount of peace. And then if you have a partner, if you have one that can help you and cross-check some documents, it will really go a long way because sometimes we make mistakes as humans. If you have an accountability partner or a friend that can help you run through your documents to make sure that everything is in place, please always, if you can afford to, involve someone to go through your documents to make sure that everything is in place. So after submission, you complete your medical exams. Before, IRCC used to do upfront medicals. I think they've actually started upfront medicals right now, where
Yeah.
you can go, you get your medical examination. There are some bodies that handle that. There is IOM, and there is I think Cure Life. Cure Life is in Abuja and Lagos. Why IOM is only in Abuja? Cure Life is a good place to go to in Lagos, but the crowd in Lagos is actually too much. So I would advise anybody that is not staying around Lagos, if you can move to Abuja, if you are one that is not into chaotic environment, you know how Lagos is. So IOM in Abuja is very swift and you get your results in no time, even though IOM is more expensive than Cure Life. But then again, all of them are the same. You get your results in no time, even though it takes a little time for Cure Life, but it's the same. So these are the two major places. These are the only two places you go for your medical exam. You don't just go into any hospital and say you want to do medical exam. Once you have submitted, they will give you the requirements. They will give you see the slip in your portal, and then where you go for your medical exam. So, but just bear it in mind that the medical exams takes place in either Lagos or Abuja. So you also do your biometrics, also Lagos or Abuja. Biometric costs about 85 Canadian dollars. Then the medical exam is between 250 to 400 Canadian dollars. So once you are approved, your invitation to apply is approved by the IRCC. I think this should be the much awaited point in everybody's journey in this permanent residence route. So once you receive the notification of after you must have submitted your application, it takes a while. The timeline is different for everyone. You have from approval can come in less than, we have seen approval of a week. We have even seen approval of permanent residence of days. Then we have seen the ones that have taken months too. So it's a journey of there is no one size fits all. It depends on your own race. So, but we are hopeful that everyone will have a smooth one. Yes. So after your application have been approved, you receive a notification of a passport request, and that is them inviting you to send your passport. That's they call it a ROFV, which is ready for visa mail. So after that, you submit your passports to the place you submit your passport. So I think they have a center in Ghana and Kenya. There is no center for submission of passport in Nigeria, sadly enough. So you submit your passports via courier or in person. Then for your passport to be stamped. Afterwards, you prepare for your journey. It's on your arrival to Canada that you are being confirmed as a permanent resident of Canada. Once you arrive in the airport, you are welcomed to the land of the free. So, how to choose the right pathway to Canada? The right pathway actually is independent. It depends on you, who you are, what are your unique values, who are you first of all. It depends on your background, your skills, your language strength, and your long-term plans. What are my plans? So it starts with you. This journey starts with you. Who am I? So there is no single route that they tell you, this route is the best. I'm going to this route. This one, I will hit it. No, this is I will get it here. So there is no best route for everybody. So there is only the best route for you as a person. So you know yourself, you check your background, check back those experiences you must have gotten in some places, be it health, especially healthcare experience. If you might have worked in the hospital, you worked in the lab, you worked in a diagnostic center, yes, you worked with sonographers, you worked with radiotherapy people, all these health tiny things we might be neglecting in Nigeria. This person is an apprentice, so this person does not do anything. This one is just carrying wheelchair. This one is just massaging people at the back. This one is just doing x-ray. No, there is no small profession. There is no small profession. Canada is a place that they assess you based on what you can do. What are you offering? What can you give? It's not about I have this, I have that. No. But basically, in the little things that we ignore, those things can actually mean a lot. So check back, sit down, check back. What experiences do I have? Have I worked in any healthcare place? Have I worked in any engineering sector? Have I worked in there is the NOC, which is the National Occupational Classification, yes, of Canada. So you just go through those NOCs. Okay, there is it is on my site. So you just go through the NOCs to know the NOC. They are very vast, and there are several NOCs that qualifies you for express entry draws. So you check your NOCs to know the one that actually suits you, that one way or the other you have an experience in them. So you have to be very strategic. You don't just choose any profession in this journey. You choose professions in demand, professions that you stand a chance to get invited, because they're actually looking for people that that will fit into the lapses they have in their system. Yes, because they're actually lapses in the system. So you be very strategic. Get a place that you have a profession in that is suitable for these draws. So after that, you are better positioned to apply for this permanent residency. So it's all about your background and your skills, what you have to offer. No skill is a waste. So you go through what you have been through, your work experience, and then there must be a way. It's not a must that all your work description. What I mean by work description is your role in that company. It's not a must that your role in the company must fit 100% with the roles in Canadian occupation. If you have like 50 to 60% roles that you have done in a particular job that fits into a profession you are seeing in Canada, that your profession in Nigeria can be used to apply for that profession in Canada. Like, for instance, if you worked as a, should I say, a receptionist in maybe a clinical facility, maybe you are just arranging file and then receiving patients. You can apply for an administrator, a clinical administrator position in Canada. So because you have one or two work description that matches the one you have in Canada, you don't wait to say, this one is not my line. I don't have everything that they say this profession is doing in Canada. No. So once you have a good number of this thing, this your profession is looking like this one in Canada, you are good to go. So all about you starting from where you are. There is an experience you have that would definitely fit into the draws of Canada permanent residents. So, facilitator Cynthia, take us on the mistakes that some of us make while on this journey. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Okay, in addition to, you were saying something about IOM. I think IOM we have in Lagos. They have one in Lagos as well, somewhere
Okay,
in Ikeja.
that's
Yes.
okay.
The Q Life in Lagos is at is it on VI? Is it on the
I think
island?
it's VIS.
Yes, so IOM is in Lagos, is in Ikeja. Both IOM and Q Life. We used to have before 2020, I think we used to have in Port Harcourt. So those in the east usually go to Port Harcourt, uh, Prime Clinic or so,
Port Harcourt
um,
is not
but
up at the moment.
it's not up. Yes, it's no longer up. So for now, so it's important too that we keep checking, from time to time, some of these things they change, some bans
Mhm.
are lifted, some restrictions are lifted. And so it's important to always go with the trend. Okay, so I want to talk about quickly the common mistakes to avoid, waiting too long to start. It's the IRCC government, I mean the government, yeah, the immigration process here, um it evolves as the days go by, as there might be needs that change, and they roll out new policies, new rules, and while you're waiting to decide, the days might just go by. So please don't wait too long to start. Don't say it's not time. I'm not ready. I'm waiting for everything to be ready. Start with what you can start with. That's why you hear many people say, do your worst. Do your worst first. Worst, it takes 5 years. It's 5 years validity. The worst I did was, I think it was in 2022, and it's still valid till now. It's still very valid till now. So please, can you mute? It's still valid till now, and so it's important you just start something. Start with your ways and hit the ground running. Do not ignore alternative pathways. Even if you say you're doing French, when I was doing my French, I expressed interest in about 5 provinces. In fact, it was after I had gotten my ITA the next year that some of the provincial applications I made were expiring, because the profile you create for those provinces in the portals are usually for 1 year, and then you reopen another one after 1 year. So it was for 1 year. I kept seeing a lot. They were just coming back telling me your profile is expired, you need to renew and blah blah blah. So do not ignore alternative pathways. Do not put all your eggs in one
Mhm.
basket, right? Ensure that you make your research. At the moment, there are talked about rural provinces. There are a lot of rural pathways, rural communities in various provinces that need some specific jobs. You might not really know until you research. There are so many provinces. As long as you're ready to go there, it's not even as if it's rural. When you hear rural, we Nigerians, you might think it's like one village. It's a rural community here is as good as a city. Like the basic amenities are available, everything is available. So, but it's just that it's off, It's not in the city, it's not in the big cities, it's not in the very known places. Check out all those pathways. There are so many pathways that are available, and you try to like take your time, do your research, spread your tentacles if you can afford. Many of them are free. Many are free. You don't need to pay anything. So you need to be sure before you start making payments for some of these processes. For documentation, we've talked about this. We can overemphasize the importance of documentation. If you created a profile and you claim 10 years experience, you claim that you claim the PO amount of POF that you have, you claim the language test. When it's time, when you're invited to apply, you are expected to submit the appropriate documents. You like Phil said, have an accountability partner to go through all these documentations with you. Name your documents properly. Name them properly. Don't go and put the passport for A for B. They will not even some of these visa officers, they can be very erratic. They can be very they don't have that patience. Some of them will return it to you and tell
They have a
you
lot.
to maybe put the correct thing. Some will give you outright refusal. And how it's be so bad that you're rejected or you get a refusal for something that was so difficult for you to get. You don't even know when next they will call you, they will invite you to apply. So little things as important as documentation is important. Documentation is very important. When you're submitting your documentation, if there are areas that you feel that you need to explain further, like you submit something and you feel like, oh, if I'm the visa officer, I want to know why this is like this. Please ensure that you write a letter of explanation. It's called an LOE. Don't even give chances. Anyone you put, just explain, write a letter. This is this. I moved the funds from here. I got this here. I did this here. The visa officer who looks at it will know that you were very thorough. So that's not the point where you rush through things. Ensure that you have proper documentation, proper explanation for every document that you submit. If you are submitting your work reference and they don't have a pay slip and you're submitting your bank statement, ensure that you have an explanation for that. Ensure that you have proper explanations. The next mistake that a lot of us make is relying on misinformation. There's a whole lot of information out there, and some people will just take it hook, line, and sinker. No research, no inquiries. You get misinformed and you flow with it. Please ensure that you do your proper research. See, the internet is when in 2018, when I even knew about this process, they were doing SECA, like evaluation of even your WAEC. Then they will buy scratch cards. You go and buy scratch cards. You evaluate your BSc, you evaluate your masters. If you have PhD, you evaluate. It was even more expensive than I can't remember, but the process was just too cumbersome. But at the moment, it's just your highest degree, right? So these things change. You ensure that you get the proper information and flow with it. So it's even possible that as I'm talking, some things are changing. Just like when I did my own process, I was invited for medicals and biometrics about the same period. And I did my biometrics and medicals, and it was cheaper for me because I had to leave my location to Lagos to do this with my family. So imagine now they're telling you upfront medicals. That's something that was there before, and suddenly it started. Though I can't even say now whether you can actually submit and they'll call you for medicals later, but I think now it's a must that you have your upfront medicals. So imagine you have to go for your medicals, go back to your city, and then they call you for biometrics like maybe a week or two after. So you can imagine. So it really changes, everything just changes. They have their reasons for why they restricted it the first time and they've lifted the ban now. So it's important you please be properly informed. Don't put your life on hold while we were doing this. I remember one of the YouTubers I watched back then when she was doing this express entry thing. She was a banker. I think she was in Port Harcourt. She was working in Access Bank. She was there, she was in the pool. She went about her life. She got a new job. She was working there, and when IRCC said, oh yeah, well, come and go, she packed her bags and left. And that was exactly what I did too. As soon as I got my French, I realized, oh, okay, I did it. Like they call me, I've put my French results for them. I got a new job. In fact, I was like, should I not? Should I just left? I was like, what? I don't stand to lose anything. Even if I get to the new job and I don't stay long, I know that I will eventually leave. But your life shouldn't be put on hold, right? go about your daily activities. Do treat it like it's a side hustle so that you don't just like, put all you just get, frustrated, or will I say agitated, because every time the draws come out, you're constantly monitoring, you're checking. Many of the people I watched back then, they will tell you they were at work one day and maybe this one said her friend called her. Have you checked your mail? This one says her husband called her. I just got a mail. Stuff like that. That's because they were just moving about their activities. And sometimes some people didn't even know that they've called them for over a week. Like they've gotten the notification or the invitation to apply. Move on and save life, as in this is not even existing. Just don't put your life on hold, right? And go on, do other things so you don't give yourself too much agitation. Um, Accountability partner, like Phil says, is very important. Join groups. See, this is not a journey where you say you can go on your own. From the day you start your West till when you land in Canada, it's important to have a community, build a community. So many people that I met on this journey, we are friends here. We have not even seen ourselves face to face. Phil and I, we landed here about the same period. I have not seen Phil before, but we met through this one of these communities. You get information. You don't know everything. You get a lot of information from your departure to your arrival to settlement, a lot of information. Like she said, the environment here, there's a lot of resources to support you as a permanent resident, a lot. There are a whole lot I'm still discovering. And if you decide that you want to do this by yourself, you want to go alone, you will fall. You will, you will just go into the ocean and sink, right? Because it's not possible. You need information. You need to join communities. You need to get as much information as you need, because the information here is power. You need information, and it will be so painful that you had access to resources like that and you did not make use of them. So please, um, get in touch with communities, ensure that you get the right information, um, do your research, always check the IRCC portal, always check the IRCC portal for updates. There could be new draws, new categories. You never know. Things are evolving, it's changing by the day. Please always be informed. Check the portal. Your timelines matter, so it's important that you follow through, ensure that you're on the right path. And the key takeaway for me is permanent residency is a process. Strategy matters. It's important that you're strategic. Even when you're writing the exams are strategic. Those of us that wrote WAEC back then, you will know that when you're done with normal English lessons, they still take you on WAEC lessons. Why? Because WAEC has a syllabus, right? NECO has a syllabus. It's not like you can't speak English, but this is how they want their standard of it. This is how they want their exam to be written or answered, so to speak. And that's how they expect you. So if you go out of the syllabus or the marking scheme, you're just, so this is where strategy matters for the exams, for the process itself. It's important to be strategic. It's important to be truthful. Integrity matters. Any falsification or false documents that they detect or can IRCC detects, it could lead to what they call misrepresentation, and you may be banned for as much as high as 5 years. And even after the 5 years, what chances do you even have of getting into Canada again? Because it looks like there's a dent like on your image, right? So please, integrity matters, be strategic, and it's important to also know that there are different paths that leads to the same destination. Few came in through PMP, I came in through the French pathway, some other persons came in through as healthcare workers. Please, the most important step is just start and start. Just start. There are different pathways, but the same destination. Thank you very much.
Nice one, Cynthia. I think the next slide should be the question and
Yeah,
answer section,
I think
right?
Judith
All
should
right. Yes, I'm
Thank you,
coming up.
sir.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I was engrossed, in the discussion, and wow, I think this has been a very power-packed session. Usually we keep these seminars within 1 hour 30 minutes, but today since we're going to spill over that time, a little bit.
Wow.
And that's because of that's all the power of the seminar that we are listening to today. So I want to just appreciate Phil and Cynthia. Thank you so much for a start, for all you have shared. You've really enlightened us with just not just the practical steps, but also the experiences that you've personally, been through. I think that many persons here already are boiling, with questions. So I'm going to open the floor now. Let me open the form. So I shared a link to a form earlier on. I'm going to help read out the questions of the form. And there are
Excuse
also
me.
some questions in the chats right now. I'll read them out. Please, we may not be able to address every question that was asked on this form. So feel free to try to reach out to the speakers after this seminar or on their social media handles or something. I think the QR code here should lead to social media handles. So you can always reach out to them. They've agreed to open up their DMs. So you can always reach out to them because we can't really address everything within this time frame. And many persons are in different time zones. Some people are in Korea trying to sleep. They're in this seminar. Some persons are in different part of the world, and we need to be able to accommodate everybody as much as possible. So I'll start with the first question. So this person says, what is the gross financial requirement for Canada PR for a nurse residing in Nigeria? If the question has been answered, please just say so I can skip to the next one.
Yeah, we've talked about
I mean,
this. We've talked about
Yes.
the financial requirements. I mean, Phil talked about the financial requirements, the
Okay, so that
processing cost.
applies to every
Yeah,
every
yeah, it
function.
does.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just maybe her licensing fees might be different. So I mean her certificate verification. So she needs to get in contact with her professional body.
Okay.
You understand, for her nursing certificate verification. So, and the other financial requirements applies, which is her application fees and her proof of fund. Proof of fund for one person should be $15,000, 15,263 Canadian dollars, and application fee, and the application fee, yes, which is over 1,500 Canadian dollars. So that should be about it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, the next question says, what is the recommended score on total on CELPIP that qualifies a person?
Topic should be, I think, there is a minimum. Minimum should be with. Let's get this straight. There is a minimum score and there is a maximum score. The minimum score is the one that you are required to use and create a profile, but it will not give you the maximum points you need. And in this game, it's all about points. What's your points? So the higher your score across the bands in your cell pips, the better. I think with 9, even 8, you can open a profile with your cell pip. But it's good to have at least 10 across your 4 cell pip bands. So aim for a 10. So that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Um, Someone says, okay, it's a very long, I'm going to keep the longer questions for later. Um, what do I need to come to Canada considering my age is 42 years and I'm married? Hmm.
Okay. 42 years I'm married. What do you need to come to Canada? That question is a bit open-ended because I don't know if it means when the person wants to come as a PR. If you want to come as a PR, what do you need? We've already talked about the various pathways. I think you can sit down and take your time to think through which pathway do you feel is okay for me, go through the calculator, the what do you call it, 67-point calculator and the rest, check yourself and decide what you want. But if it's someone that just wants to come to Canada, well, if you're 42, you want to migrate to Canada, you need a clear pathway. Are you coming as a PR? Are you coming to study? Are you coming to work? Um, are you financially ready? You have a career aligned plan? Because many people in their 40s, 50s even migrate successfully through these pathways, PNPs and these targeted programs. So what exactly do you intend to achieve? It depends on your pathway, your goal, right? So like I said, if you're 42 and you're married, like I said earlier, when I was doing French, I knew a lot of people in my class that were over 40 and were doing French. And if anyone is following the draws, the French draw in December was 399. January last year was about 370. So imagine somebody who is above 40. You know what that means. That's a high chance of you getting called. Imagine you're in the health pathway and you align yourself properly, strategically, and you see scores. You take advantage of it. So that's it for that question.
Okay, thank you. I believe you've answered the second question. I'm going to read it out so we can verify, and then the person can also know I've seen their question. So it says, I'm 41 years old. I have calculated my eligibility scores to see if I can create an express entry profile, but the result says I'm not eligible. What should I do? So I presume that you've addressed that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we have.
Okay. Then someone says, where can I get TCF past questions? Hmm.
Okay, TCF past questions. Well, like I said, you join groups, right? There are groups on Telegrams, there are groups on WhatsApp. Some of you can reach out to me if you want to get a TCF past question. I mean, you want to join the groups, the French groups. I have access to a few groups that could still add you. Um, then on YouTube. I was able to access, I have not gone to those channels recently, but I was able to access some past questions on YouTube. The thing with these YouTube channels is they give you access to a limited set of past questions. But if you want to go further, you want to get more, you probably subscribe to a plan or something. But past questions are available on YouTube and on those groups give you access to the platforms where you can access the past questions. For TEF as well, you have access to past questions. If you go to the French schools, they have these sites where they have access to past questions.
Okay. Thank you very much. Um, Mhm. So I'm answering this question. Someone says, will the required meeting be available for participants? Yes, we're going to have this session uploaded to YouTube. So I dropped the link earlier on. Please just try and follow the channel right now and then turn on your notifications so you can know when it's uploaded. You also receive an email after this meeting with the links to everything that you need access to. Okay. Um, Someone says, which WES evaluation is recommended? Is it the WES standard application or the ECA application for IRCC?
What do you mean by West? What did you say? Repeat your question, sorry.
Repeat
West.
yourself, please.
Which WES evaluation is recommended? Is it the
Okay.
Mhm.
WES standard application or the
Okay.
ECA application for IRCC?
Yeah.
Is the
The
one for
ETA
IRCC
application
for
for us.
immigration?
Mm-hmm.
West immigration.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I do have a longer question. Please be patient with me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it says, my husband is 40 and I'm 35. We both have a master's degree. I'm currently undertaking my PhD in the US, but my family is in Nigeria. My husband runs a business in Nigeria, and I taught for a year before leaving for the US. I really didn't have any good jobs, so I was learning skills. I checked my CRS score, and it was about 440 with a perfect IELTS test. What are our chances, and what do you advise for our situation? What are other immigration pathways that we can explore? Please, did you get that?
Okay. Yeah, I did. I
Yeah.
did.
Mhm.
Can I go, Phil, or do you want to go?
It's okay since you started. Mhm.
Okay, well, I presume this question was asked before this webinar, so I should believe that the person by now should have had an idea of some of the pathways and maybe start thinking of what to explore. Your situation is actually more promising than it feels, even though the CRS can be discouraging at first glance. Let me try to break it down honestly. First, a reality check on your current CRS is 440, right? About 440. With age, you're 35, your husband is 40, you have two master's degree, you have perfect IELTS, some work experience. At a CRS around 440 is accurate, but it's on its own is not competitive for current draws, I mean targeted draws. And it's important. CRS is not your destiny. It's just a snapshot. So you and your husband have strong fundamentals. You have higher education, master's plus PhD in progress. The PhD, though you cannot evaluate it now. You have strong English. You have teaching experience, right? That teaching experience is where I'm even looking at because if you have taught, you have teaching experience and you taught for a year. So what are we talking about? You can explore the education route. Your husband has a business. I think we can also explore the entrepreneurship, yeah,
Also.
yes, the
Mhm.
pathway. The age is still workable, especially the younger one who is 35, even though 40 is still okay, but I'm just looking at strategy now, not profile issue. So what I would advise, don't wait for general express entry draw at 440 without a plan, you will just waste your time. So your focus should be on targeted pathways. Yeah, I would suggest French. Of course, it's strongly recommended. You've seen the magic French does, but not everybody can actually do French. Yeah, you get it's not everyone that's French has come to stay because from now I think to 2028 or 29, there's still it looks promising. I don't know if it changes, but that's why it's important to start now. So French gives you access to the French draws, gives you additional 50 points, makes you attractive to PMPs. It's offsets the points that you lose based on age. So realistically, moving from 440 to 510 is possible. It can change your outcome. Explore the PMP as well. Explore the PMP. You can explore the Ontario Express Entry links. You can explore Alberta, Saskatchewan. There are a lot of provinces actually. We've talked about this whole thing. And the education pathway, like I said, since you have teaching experience, you can strategically position yourself for the teaching pathway. And yeah, so
Okay.
that's it.
All
It's
right.
there's a lot of pathways there.
All
She
right.
can
Thank you.
also look out for employment opportunities in Canada
Employment support.
because she's in
Yes.
the US. Most times,
Yes.
Canadian people employ people that have a US experience and US education. So she should also look out for openings for people that have a US qualification and experience. So basically, she should be strategic in the US also. Look for jobs that she can do, work in US. Once she has a US experience, trust me, if she looks out for employment opportunities in Canada, she stands a chance, or even she stands more chances than some people in Canada. I'm telling you the truth because of that US experience. So
Thank you.
is yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, but we're going to try to stay within the time limit. So let's say we have 15 more minutes. Okay. Next
Okay.
question says, for financial capacity, how long do the funds need to be kept for? Can someone put money in your account a few days before you print bank statements? How long do you need to keep that funds? Do they check the funds again once you arrive?
Freelancer.
Okay, so how long do you need to keep the fund in the account? Is that the question?
Yes. And can somebody else
Okay.
pay into your account before you print the statement?
Yes, someone can pay into your account before you print the statement. You don't need to have. IRC does not expect you to have that money sitting in your account for that long. Basically you are, especially for people that are running a business, they're also using that money to run their business or whatever. So they don't expect you to have that money sitting in your account. A situation whereby you don't have the bulk money sit lying away in your account, you can ask someone to transfer the money to you. But then the person that transfers the money is the bone of contention. Who is transferring the money to you? It's always better for a relative, most
Mm,
importantly, a parent or your husband to transfer that money to you. So it must be somebody that you are related with by blood or by marriage, especially your blood tie, your parents, then a sibling that you can prove your relationship with the sibling via birth certificate, and then your parents, then the spouse. So basically, for the spouse, you can, as I said earlier, you can submit your spouse's bank statement, provided you have a letter from him stating that you have unlimited access to those funds in his account. But I would prefer, since the fund is already in your spouse account, it's something of joint partnership. I prefer the funds being deposited in the applicant's account. You just state gift. Once your spouse is transferring the money, it stated gift on the transfer, gift to my wife, and you also draft a gift deed. Is done. There is something that is called gift deed by the notary public. It's not everybody that does it. It's the notary public they have offices across the nation. The notary, Notary, is the notary that endorses that gift deed. That this amount, this money is being gifted to my wife for as a gift. So the person can use it and do whatever they want. So the money should most times be is advisable for the funds to be transferred by your spouse to your account. But if the funds wants to be in the spouse account, you can. And you can transfer it that very day you want to print it. That very day you want to print it. So the answer to that question, must the funds be in your account for a long time? No, it must not be in your account. So you can have the fund transferred to you on that very day or the previous day to that day. Then you print the account statement and you submit it. Then when you arrive Canada, most times nobody is checking your bank account. most times, most times nobody is checking anything, but then again, you just be on the what you would do if you don't if the amount will not be in your account on the day you're traveling. Print the statement just a day to the day you are traveling. So you can always say this is the bank statement yesterday or this morning before I came into Canada. You can always present it to them so they see that the date is of recent. So that gives you a better chance. Yes, but most times, 90% of the time, nobody is asking you for the proof of fund at the point of entering into Canada.
Okay.
So
All
that's
right.
the thing.
Thank you very much. I'm going to circle to the Zoom chat now before I go back to the form. I scrolled up and I see someone ask a question. It says, how about someone already in Canada with a 1 year Canadian work experience, but lost the work status, that's work permit expired, and currently on a visitor's record, looking for other pathways to regain work status? How can you be of help?
Okay, first, it's important to understand that being on a visitor record does not automatically end your Canadian immigration journey, right? But what matters most is your timing, your compliance, and choosing the right pathway. For me, if you ask me my opinion, I think for work pathways, when your work permit expires, if it's less than 90 days ago, the individual may be eligible to apply for restoration of status. I am not sure. This is very verifiable. Request a new work permit at the time. But I think at that time, during the 90 days window, you cannot work until the approval is granted. So this option is a bit time sensitive and must be handled carefully. I am not an immigration consultant, so this person might want to check with an immigration lawyer or, agents and all that. Secondly, I know they used to have the LMIA routes. That's where you have employer supported work permits. I think that's still it's still, recently I learned that the LMIA route you don't get points. You can't get points for LMIA on the portal on the IRCC portal like for the express entry profile. But I think for you that is in Canada already, you can secure an employment. Employer will apply for an LMIA. Once it's approved, the individual applies for what they call a closed work permit. And a closed work permit means that you work for that employer alone. You can't work for any other person. So it's common in healthcare, construction, hospitality, transport, even tech, depending on the role in tech. So Canadian work experience is a strong advantage here. The third one should be PMP, like visitors inside Canada. Some provinces can allow visitors to be nominated, and they have support letters that help to regain work authorization. So some provinces allow that. They also allow those letters. You can explore provinces like Saskatchewan, Manitoba, even Alberta, and the Atlantic provinces, the Nova Scotia, the New Brunswick, and the likes. And once you're nominated, you may qualify for a PMP supported program or move directly towards PR. Well, if it's feasible for you, you can study. You can just enroll in a short strategic program, an in-demand field, which can lead to study permits, followed by a postgraduate work permit if you're eligible. You have to choose wisely to avoid wasting your money, right? Express entry, if you already have at least 1 year of Canadian work experience, strong language skills, you can explore the CEC route, even while on a visitor record. But just that you have to be very careful. So I'll advise the person to please contact an immigration agent or lawyer or, someone who is really vast in this field because I don't really do know much about them. Only talking based on what's the information that I have available,
Okay.
at this
Thank you very
time.
much. And we have room for two more questions. I see that some questions on the Zoom chat has been answered. Thank you very much to our facilitators and to other persons who have answered the questions. So, someone says, can one have two profiles in the expert entry, like the
Yeah, we've
French and
answered that.
healthcare? French and healthcare. Okay.
Oh, no, 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 not at all. If you are French and your healthcare, you are just there. Whichever comes first, you get it. Whichever comes first, you get it. I can be in the health, I can be in the health field, right? And I also have my French result. And see, let's also bear in mind that when we say French, you don't just do French. You have to do French and the
IELTS.
English, yes,
Yes.
because you get the points for being bilingual. You get that extra 50 to 62 points for being bilingual, not just because you did French. So when you're doing French, you have to also have English. I have a few persons who did French and they're still trying to sort out their English test now, you know, to be able to get that bilingual point. So please, if you're in the pool, you're in the healthcare sector, that's wonderful. You can still be in the healthcare sector and you're doing your French. And whichever comes first, whichever draw comes first, you just get the invite.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So I see some questions have already been addressed.
Mhm.
Let me just do a final sweep. Someone says, for a nurse, is there any additional certificate required or examinations to be written before migration?
Feel over to you.
Was that question asked in the this thing?
Form, yes,
Was
The
it
yes.
just
form?
asked now? Was it
No,
asked
no,
earlier?
no.
It was
It
just
was
asked
asked
now.
before. I think it was asked before. You've talked about the nursing stuff earlier on. I think you mentioned something about nursing.
Okay,
Nursing.
can
Yeah,
you repeat the question again?
It says, is there any additional certificates required
Okay.
or examinations to be written before migration?
that should be
No,
after
there,
PR
no,
is
no, no,
gotten.
no. There is no exams before PR. There is no exams before PR. The only thing that the person would do is to do the certificate verification via their nursing body, via the nursing body. Once you verify your certificate and the equivalent that the certificate is in Canada, that's all. You don't need to write any licensing exams. That should be when you arrive. But then if you want to write any licensing exam, it's because maybe you can write it before you migrate, but it's not a requirement. You are writing it because you want a smooth transition once you arrive Canada to switch into your profession on arrival. You are writing because you want to integrate faster into the system instead of waiting for your arrival. But for this application, you don't need to write any exam. The only thing you need to do is to verify your nursing certificate. That's
Okay.
just it.
All right, thank you. One last question for someone who wants to know about the best pathway for a nanny.
Nanny.
Inani,
Yeah,
Yes,
care out.
caregiver.
caregiver.
Caregiver out. Yes.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you so much. I think we're going to stop here. Please, if you have any more questions, you know where to go after this seminar. So thank you so much, Phil and Cynthia, for honestly for these contributions. Thank you also to everyone who asked questions, because if not for these questions, we probably would not have more light thrown on certain issues. So thank you also for your very thoughtful questions, and thank you, Cynthia and Phil, for your very engaging responses. And we truly appreciate everyone also who has participated in today's session. And we are coming to the end of today's session. Please don't leave. Don't leave. If you've been here for, we are 40 now, please. I don't want to see it drop to 39. I'm going to hunt whoever left and made it 39, because by the end of this seminar, we'll take a photograph. So don't leave, please. Thank you. All right. So before we close this seminar, I want to invite our mentor, who we call Papa, Dr. Cosmos, for a few words and closing remarks.
Good day, everyone. Am I audible enough?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Good.
very
Okay. Have a
audible.
good day, sir.
Yeah, I want to thank in a special way Phil and Cynthia for honoring our invitation. And not just that, for a seamless, well-packed webinar. As we're having this class, I was following up. People are asking me questions on WhatsApp. I'm replying on your behalf. People are asking questions on Facebook. I'm also replying on your behalf. And I was able to answer those questions because I was just picking what you were saying. I was just using your lecture to answer the questions as much as I could because I've not gone to Canada before. And if I could do that, if I could answer questions right now just by listening to you, it goes to show the level of impact the training today made. If I'm chatting with someone right now, we are already arranging the papers. And because the guy is less than 25, and we need to maximize the age and maximize the first class result he has and maximize his job opportunity, his entrepreneur job and all the rest of them. And I also got to understand that almost all of us had 1 year teaching experience as a youth corps. I mean, they posted me to a school when I was in my NYSC, and for 1 full year, I was a mathematics and physics teacher. That's enough to brag about, and that's enough 1 year experience to kickstart. So if I'm just coming back from youth service, the best thing I could do to myself is just apply. I want to thank you for a wonderful presentation today. And I want to thank all those that made it to our seminar. The PCDF is an NGO that was set up by a lot of young ladies, women who our paths crossed. We didn't plan it to be an NGO, but over time, when we saw the impacts, the meaningful impacts a lot of them are making, and we said, okay, why do we have to do something ad hoc? Why not make it official and make it very good? And I'm so excited that we have so wonderful executives who are making this a reality. And I'm proud to be associated with this type of forum. The forum is biased, focused on females, but we are not just having programs that are only for females. And as you can see, migrating to Canada has nothing to do whether you are a male or female. It has to do with whether you are well organized and you have proper documentation. For those of us who are knocked out by age, there are other ways to still make it up. I remember when I was applying for my own, I was also knocked out by age. But quickly I was able to make up that from another angle before fate took us to where we are right now. So on behalf of the PCDF and on behalf of all the executives of the 2025, 2026 executives, we want to thank our speakers. I want to thank all those that attended this event. And we want to encourage you to follow them on their handles and also follow us on our own handle. If you have any questions, we can always make sure that you get a proper reply to your concerns. And once again, I want to sound a caveat or a disclaimer. We are not immigration workers. We do not canvass for the Canadian government. We do not give expertise opinion about how to migrate to any country. We only invite people who have done it, succeeded, to share their stories and perhaps believing that their stories could inspire you to challenge same opportunities. We always advise that you make sure at the end of the day, use the appropriate and official website that gives you the stand of the government at any point in time. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, everyone. So I see that I have 37 persons left. So to the 3 persons still left, Haba. For you who are left,
Jesus.
thank you so much for being here. Please, it's time to take a photograph for the seminar. If you're comfortable, please turn on your cameras and put on your smiling face. If you want to put lipstick, this is the best time to do it now. Arrange yourself and look pretty for this picture. We have 2 minutes to do that. It's okay if you don't want to turn on your camera, it's fine. But if you can, please turn on your camera and then take the picture. Hello. Hi. Okay. We're taking the first in 3, 2, 1. Say cheese.
Peace.
Okay, that's short. Okay, someone else is coming up now. Let it come up.
See you.
3, 2, 1, cheese. All right. Okay, thank you so
I want to
much.
contest for president, so please take another one. I want to contest for president.
Okay, one last for our president candidate. One more picture, please. Okay. This is your last chance to smile very well now, so please make it count. Okay. 3, 2, 1, cheese.
Is
All right. Thank you so much once again. Thank you. Like I've mentioned, please, you will get an email after this seminar. Please make sure to leave your feedback. Make sure to check out the YouTube channel and leave all your questions there. If you have other questions, they will be addressed. And reach out to our speakers too. Their DMs are very, very open. It's easier sometimes to chat, respond to chats than have a 4-hour seminar about this. We will not end if we keep going right now with the Q&A. So please reach out to them afterwards. So thank you so much, and I hope that we see you in the next seminars. Next month, we're going to have a seminar on romantic relationships. So please, if you see my email, register and join us, okay? So thank you very much to everyone who has been here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
okay. Bye.
Bye.